You sure that was Jordan Peterson?
That was a cowboy, man.
Right.
Well, I don't
Turn his
know.
microphone off. Oh, what do you know, kid? Oh, no, I'm not doing
What was that?
That was Keir Starmer.
You're not on it today.
And they're trying to get us to fit in the box. And the young lads are going, I don't want to be like that. And they were telling us what they were going to do on us, 40 years old. And it was like, I don't think
Gonna get you up on the ramps,
I don't think so. Get us up on the ramps, get the torches on, get the torches
Check the
on.
revs.
It was like, we're all still grown,
Yeah, definitely.
right? And your boys don't automatically become men.
That's so true.
It's not automatic. It's like, all right, so I'm 18 or I'm 21 now and I've become a man. Now you're just a boy in a man's body. And we see a lot of boys running around in men's bodies. You're gonna get married, you're gonna have kids, and then what if you do lose your job? And so you're gonna come to the point at some point in your life where I can't do this. Welcome back to Chat with GPT.
Yeah, buddy.
Come on, Keto.
Yes. And this week's episode, we're going to be talking about men and masculinity. And so this is not for girls. So if you're a girl, turn it off right now. You're not allowed. Okay, you can keep it
Gonna
on.
make
if
them
you
want to
want.
listen even more.
That's the whole point. Okay, then. So men and masculinity, we live in the modern world with lots of issues, lots of pressures, lots of challenges, isn't there? And there's lots of pressure on men, that's for sure, as well as women. But we're just focusing on the men today. That's my expertise, which you will be glad to hear.
You are a man.
Yes, I am a man. He is male.
Got the t-shirt.
He is male. And so we're going to be looking at some of the issues that we deal with, young men as well. So we're looking at young men. I'll talk a bit about more the not so young men, middle-aged.
Getting on.
I'll pull on that one. I'll pull on that one. Okay, then. So one of the things that men enjoy is curry.
Yes.
That deserves a round of applause, doesn't it?
You're making me hungry.
Very, very hungry, actually. Okay, we're not going to do an Indian accent.
No.
Very good.
No.
Actually.
And you were saying?
And so, Izzy,
Yes.
does he look like a curry eater?
Not really. It looks like you should eat haggis or something.
Doesn't he? I
I look like crackers are spicy to me or something. Oh, I can't eat crackers.
Chicken coma.
No, I like curry.
Coma man, Isaac.
Absolutely not. No.
That's too hot.
You gotta have it.
I thought so. What's your favourite curry?
I go for like a dupiaza or something.
Really?
That's not that spicy.
We know this because that's every time he goes for a dupiaza.
I just love it. The onions.
What about
chicken.
what about like vindaloo?
That's getting a bit hot. I used to be like Madras, for instance. I used to be
Nothing
okay
wrong
with
with
Madras, but now it's too hot. I can't be bothered.
Anything
I
else?
wanna
Anything else
enjoy-
other than the dupiaza, which is just onions?
Probably a Rogan Josh as well,
Rogan Josh.
which is basically just tomatoes.
I thought you were going to say basically staple diet, but okay, just tomatoes. Okay, Matty, curry?
Chicken madras.
Chicken
He's
madras.
a tough one.
Getting
Nice
into
one.
real curry territory.
Hang out with him the next
Real
day,
curry.
though.
Okay, so we can buy him a real curry, we can buy him a yogurt. Fantastic.
To be fair, I like the ones Isaac said. I like all of them, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
As long as it's got
To be
chicken.
fair,
in it.
whenever
What's
we...
your
As long as it's got
in
chicken
your
in.
comments, send us what's your favourite
Oh,
curry.
yeah.
And the one who picks the best one gets a prize. They get to buy me it. Hey! Get to
Fair
buy
enough.
me it one day. And
I do like curry. Yeah, that's good.
you're not going to ask, like, what's my favourite
What's
curry?
your favourite curry?
Don't have-
GPT?
I don't know.
We're official, yeah, we're official.
Right,
that
we'll
was
edit it.
weird.
They'll not be in it.
Or
right?
dad.
Favorite. I don't have a favorite curry.
Yeah, wait, to be fair, you just like loads of them.
I just love curry.
He does make a good curry, though.
I do make my own curry. Yes, we're not talking about that today,
biased,
though.
but-
Where I'll tell you what. Where have you had your favorite? So, for instance, me, I would like.
man.
I like a madras. I like a jalfrezi. I like. I used to eat fowls and vindaloos when I was a kid, but then you decide. Actually, I don't want to die. I want to taste my food. So I went a bit
Having
further
that
down the. What is it? What's the scale called again?
Oh, Scoville.
Scoville
Index or
yeah, it
something,
is, and
yeah.
I slid down that, and I'm down on a madras or a. I mean, Rogan's all right, but normally if you order a Rogan Punjabi style, you go to if you go to a restaurant, you say, "Hi mate, can I have a Rogan Josh?" And they look at you like you say, "Silly English fool," right? And then you say, but make it Punjabi style, like, right? And they say, oh, you know your curry, actually, right? So it's kind of like, you get a bit of credibility with them. Don't spit in your food or not anyway. So where have you had your favourite curry?
We have this takeaway called the Diner, and that's the best one. They make it really good.
But didn't the management just change recently?
I know. Well, to be fair, we had it again, and it was decent.
Maddie, where's your favourite
My
curry?
deli.
Oh,
My deli. Shout out.
Oh, shout out for the studio
Belly,
producer over there.
I think we should
Who is
tag
from
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My deli.
Sponsor us, please.
That's in
Sponsor
Newcastle.
us.
Yeah, Newcastle.
We love
City
my
Centre.
deli.
To be fair, I can't actually remember what the one was called. I think it was like Punjabi Daba curry. but
Yeah.
It was
The
nice.
Dabba Wabba.
I was like very authentic.
What we need is to be sponsored by them.
best-
Eat curry whilst we're doing this.
I won't say
That wouldn't
anything.
be a
That's
bad
the
idea.
dream right there.
Just be scranning the whole
Just putting
time.
it out there.
The favourite curry I've told you this, haven't I? The favourite curry I've ever tasted was out of a carrier bag on a train from Chennai on the way to Bangalore. Right, 6-hour train journey on those trains where there aren't any doors. People are hanging out. My legs were hanging out and trying to avoid the lampposts. loads of like, just muck all, just rubbish all over the railway lines and kids around there and stuff. And you're just travelling, I don't know, really slowly. But I went with a family from Chennai to Bangalore, and the family made, and I'm not really that keen on biryani, but the family made a biryani in a bag, just a white plastic bag. And they were putting they had little white bags, plastic bags, so she'd put her hand in it, and she was offering it to the people we were travelling with. And I'm kind of like, all right. And so she puts this little bag on, and she was like, do you want some? I was like, yeah, because you don't want to say no. And so she just puts her hand in the bag, and she like pulls it out and then wraps the bag over and ties it and gives us this little bag of biryani. I opened it up and it looked like white claggy rice, and I was just like, and I hate rice pudding and stuff like that. And I opened it up and I was like, oh no. And she's looking at us like, yeah. and I'm like, this is really good. Yeah. Put my fingers in, tasted it. It was like it literally came from heaven. The flavors were just like, oh, and I still remember it. You know the story anyway. And I still remember the flavors and the taste of this biryani. It was absolutely awesome. I've never had anything like it. And as you know, I try and make my own curries and stuff, but nowhere near. I need to go back to Chennai, find this family,
bring me
find this little old woman and say, teach me. I mean, teach me how to. Football.
He couldn't help himself.
Another thing that men are interested in is football.
Absolutely. Get up.
Where's that audience?
Up the
Get up, come on. How are the lads? Come on. And obviously, I'm a Newcastle United supporter
Just.
for my sins, even though they've been forgiven. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Shout out.
Little shout out there for Jesus. And Newcastle supporter through and through. Grew up in the West End of Newcastle, still a Geordie, and it doesn't matter where you go in the world, I always see black and white tops. I'm not talking about fashion tops, I'm talking about Newcastle tops.
Yeah.
Loads of Juventus supporters everywhere. Doesn't matter. But and funnily enough, these Juventus supporters have Geordie accents. That's really strange, isn't it? These Italians.
yeah.
How you
That's
doing,
strange,
mate? You all right? It doesn't matter where you go in the world. Like you could be at a beach, in a restaurant, anywhere, and you'll see a Newcastle United top.
Yeah.
And what's the matter? So football, Isaac, he's got that face on again, which is actually his face.
I'm happy to be here.
Just smiling.
Yeah, I'm just happy.
It is his face. And so, my favourite team, Newcastle United. And we're having a mixed season, Newcastle.
Yeah.
My second team, Newcastle United. I don't have a second team. Football,
That's
Isaac.
the right answer.
Well, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm Newcastle through and through.
Of course.
And I tell you what, if I've watched it
Yeah.
my whole life, we've been terrible. And we're finished, like the best we finished was like 5th with Alan Pardew. And now we're actually playing half decent. You can't make it through a first half. We're watching it, but hey, I'll take anything.
I must admit, I've got to the point where I'll be watching it. We're playing rubbish again. We spent 15 years under Mike Ashley playing rubbish. Them saying that, oh, well, it wasn't that bad, Dad. And I'm kind of like,
Got nothing to
and
go
I
off,
just
I
walk out
suppose.
the room now. We've got so bad, but we're doing much better now. We've got Eddie Howe.
I like Eddie Howe, isn't it?
Alexander.
I've got a few theories on that. We haven't bought anybody for 3 transfer windows. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign for keeping a manager.
Lewis Hall was a good sign.
Anyway, they're using PSR as an excuse for everything,
I like him.
not to spend money. So there you go.
We do like
favorite
football,
Newcastle United player.
Okay,
favourite player.
Isak. I was going to say Joe Linton.
Everybody's going to say Isak.
Isak.
I'm trying to
He's
think.
a baller, man.
What about Longstaff? I thought he was your favourite player.
He's my second
I
favourite.
thought you said the best, not the worst.
It's close. It's close.
Isaac's a staunch Longstaff supporter. No, he's not.
No,
Plays
he's
like him as
okay
well.
though. But he's one of our own, so
He is one of our own.
fair
Dan
play-
Burn, big Dan
fair
Burn.
play to him.
Big Dan Burn.
He's a good player.
But the producer's getting involved.
Moment of
in
silence for Matt Ritchie.
Yeah. Well, Matt Ritchie, probably one of the best wingers Newcastle's ever
Don't
had.
cry. Don't cry. I know he's
For about a week or two. So, Newcastle United, and favourite player in the Prem at the minute? Don't say Isak.
It is Isak though.
I was going to say the same, to be fair.
I'm loving it. Banging in goals in black and white. There's nothing better than that.
Studio
complain.
producer, favourite player in the Premier League?
Bruno.
Bruno.
Oh, he's just shouting anyway, isn't he?
Bruno.
He's just shouting anyway. It's only
Fair
one.
enough.
It's only one. He says he knows about football, but
He's a good player.
cricket player, isn't he? Cricket player. And so men, and well, that's one of the things in it with men is the majority of people who go to the match, the vast majority are male. And especially back in the day when you used to stand, I remember standing at the Gallagher end as a young teenager, and mostly male. Now, obviously, there's a lot more females, and you've got the women's teams and stuff. But men love football. Men love sport, obviously, but it's not like we're into cricket or baseball.
Some of them are, unfortunately, not me though.
Some people are like swinging a stick at a ball, whereas we rather chase it round a field.
Yeah, kick it into a net and then take it out
Just a
again.
half each
different
other.
principle,
Yeah.
really.
Just get really annoyed over a yellow card.
Team sports, isn't it? Team sports. But lads like
Great, man.
lads like football, isn't it? And so, greatest footballer of all time.
Lionel, not Richie. Messi.
Ah,
Messi. What's he say?
Lionel.
I thought I'd get
Greatest
it in your
footballer, studio producer.
Pele.
Oh, Melee.
Pele.
I think he's
Pele,
getting confused between Pele and Messi.
Yeah,
but that was a good.
yeah. That's a weird way to say
Melee.
Messi, but that's cool.
Messi.
Aye, I'm good for
We're a
Messi
bit
as
biased.
well.
I mean,
What about? I mean, I've heard that some people say that Cristiano Ronaldo,
Who's that?
No.
Who's that?
like
good enough.
the best, the goat, all that sort of stuff. Ronaldo. Sue,
We
yeah.
just had a
Be
Sue
fair,
from
otherly-
the audience.
Oh,
It's really hard not to just say.
or otherly
Into the
known as
mic.
Sue, which is actually a girl's name,
Yeah,
but he does spend a lot
I
of time
am
in front of the
showing
mirror.
much restraint right now.
So I'm not surprised he's called Sue. But
It's safe to say you're not keen on him.
To me, Messi by far.
I mean, it's biased because we all agree, but yeah,
Messi by
Yeah.
far. And, however, when you do look at some of the footage, some of the old footage, Pele did everything everybody's doing today.
there you go.
And he was way ahead.
Not in the Prem though.
He would have
Not in the Barclays Premier
back in the
League.
Prem in the day, he would have scored about
Thierry
60,
Henry
he
style.
would have scored about 60, 70 goals a
Yeah,
season,
probably.
Pele. Oh, he
I
would have
don't
done.
really know much about Pele.
I reckon anyway.
Would have
So,
been good.
Messi in there.
Yeah.
So there's a these are some of the things that we enjoy as men. But there's the other side of that is there's a lot of pressures, there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of challenges for men today. One of the very sad statistics that I was reading recently was the number one killer for men under the age of 50 is suicide. That is a complete tragedy.
Definitely.
Because that also tells me if you're going up at the age of 50 that these men have kids, so this is somebody's dad. And obviously the younger they are, then there's somebody's son. All right. And so the number one killer in the UK under the age of 50, so it's up to middle age, is suicide. I think that's a total abject failure on society. Yeah. It's a complete tragedy. But there's big issues involved in all of that, isn't there? And breakdown of relationships and divorce and broken-hearted, losing businesses, losing jobs, stacked up with the debts, no way through, no hope. And for a man to, and you're talking about good men,
Yeah.
you know, you're talking about good men, for good men to get to the point where life is thrown so much at them that they feel, even though they're in pain, maybe they're in anguish, they're in just dire straits, to think that the only way out of this is by getting out of it, by taking your own life. That's just absolutely horrific. And we had an instance just recently, didn't we? One of our friends, who was a fellow footballer, at the age of 25, did the same, you know, and it just banged it. And I hear it so often, and it's horrendous. And so there are challenges that are they're not just challenges. These are big. This is a big deal, and I understand women again. You know that we can talk about that another day, but we're focusing on the men today because there are there are real challenges, and one of the issues I find just looking, you know, I'm from 70s and 80s, right? So the 70s and 80s. Be honest, we didn't care less what people thought, right? Just didn't care less. We just do.
It showed.
We just did what we still, you know. So if you meet anybody over the age of 50,
The haircuts, man.
over 50, no wonder over 50, it's like we still
Skin
don't care.
fade wouldn't have hurt. You know what I mean?
You know, over the age of 50,
Just like
there's worse than skin fades.
7 on the
believe me.
back, please.
And,
Crazy.
try Mohicans and
Oh,
completely bald
man.
and all the rest of it. And but we just didn't care less. But and if you look at the 70s and the 80s, even just look at the fashion. Right, I mean, people were wearing all kinds of things and dressing in lots of different ways, and there wasn't really one identity. People were just being themselves, and whereas today, you've got these stereotypes that are pushed through the media and online. You know, even on podcasts and everything else. If you want to look like me, you know, no, don't do that. So,
No thanks.
but it's
No offense.
we're not one of them stereotypes, and not one of them podcasts. Right, this is real life, real issues, juicy stuff.
If you want to be financially
Right,
free,
and so
it's like, nah, man. Just
they've
chill.
got, you know, today it's like, I find where people want to be praised all the time. They want to be told, oh, you're doing really well. You're doing really well. Listen, when we were kids, they used to tell us, you're not my kid. You know, it used to be. It was all we used to. You're not my kid, or you know, get out, and you know that was some of the best words that was said to us when we were young.
That was just my
get
mother.
out, get out. It was like great. I'm going to play out all day, but this generation, whatever age group that is it's praise hungry. It needs encouraging all the time. They need to be praised all the time, and it seems like when they're not praised or encouraged, it seems they isolate themselves, and then they sort of struggle, and all kinds of issues come out of the back of it. However, identity is an issue, isn't it? And that's why I think you've got people like Andrew Tate, you know, who does who was doing his thing, you know, and obviously the stuff, the business side of his life was, you know, very, very bad and very immoral, and but then he's posturing himself in a way that, you know, he's the man and all that sort of stuff. But that's why young men would gravitate towards him, because we're living in a society where men don't understand their identity.
Yeah, true.
You know, they don't know what it is to be a man, what it is to be a man, and part of that is either fatherless families or fathers who don't even know what it is to be a man, or be masculine and be a man themselves, right? And then the other side of that is, it's like, so what is a man? And when you look at, well, what is a man? And then they paint all these different pictures of these like perfect men who have got everything, all the ducks in a row, everything's spot on, and you know they're the hero, and it's kind of like, and then the lads look at it and think, well, how on earth am I ever going to be a man, right? Because it's like it's either the stereo macho type man, right, who's now kicking back against the feminist thing, which has been going on for, you know, decades now, which, you know, basically feminists who are just men haters and want to push men down. Thank God there are plenty women who appreciate men, you know, and we, you know, that we're designed to complement one another. But so you're going to get, you know, feminism is what I call toxic femininity, and then you've also got the other side of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And Andrew Tate, I know you've seen some of his stuff. I mean, I've only seen some of his clips. What did you think of Andrew Tate?
At first, he seems pretty like straightforward of his points, and some of the things he's saying I did actually agree on. But then half the things he says are stupid. So it's like you've got to find the right balance. But for me,
So why does he have such a big following?
I think because he's just so, I'd say kind of not manly, but he's so straightforward with his points. Like he poshes himself as being the guy. You know, he goes to the gym, he owns a business and things like that. And then when he's talking, tries to talk with authority. And I think that gets him far. You know, like a lot of lads, especially like people my age, a lot of the parents, a lot of their dads aren't very masculine, and they don't have anyone masculine in their life to look up to. So then they go and gravitate towards more masculine men, even if that could be toxic masculinity. So him, like, a lot of the things he was saying was just stupid, but he thought he was right on it.
I mean, I've watched some of his stuff, and he's just a professional talker to me.
Yeah. Oh, he can definitely talk.
But he does obviously have some clear and strong views, which blokes like. You know, generally, especially young men. Well, so young men are trying to find their identity and want to be a man and want to grow into man. And so
But he had a backbone, didn't he?
well, I don't know because I haven't watched him that much. But some of the stuff that I've seen him do is, I'm watching him and I'm just thinking, he's just a professional talker. But he is masculine in the way he does it and the way he presents himself. And so a lot of these young lads are gravitating towards that because there's not a lot of masculinity in the world. And I'm not talking about, masculinity, beating your chest and, being able to roar like a lion and stuff, all that rubbish. That's not masculinity.
That's an animal.
That's a different thing. That's the opposite to a lioness, but it's a different type of species. And so, you like that one, didn't you, Isaac? No, he didn't like that one. No, he didn't like that.
You'll know when I laugh.
I like that one. I like that one, yeah.
That's normally
it was a
sign.
bit too high. It was a bit too high for him. But he's popular, though. Or he was popular.
Less so now.
Oh,
I think he was just relevant for a bit of time.
I suppose young lads don't want to get locked up, so he's less popular now as well. What are sort of online role models are there, Isaac? Do you think for men, young men in particular?
I think sort of older guys, sort of millennials.
I thought he was going to say chat with GPT. All right, then go on.
Of course, you. But
Continue. Go on then.
taking the internet by storm. But I think maybe Jordan Peterson's is a good example of more on a.
The one who cries.
I really want to
the
do
one who
the
cries
person.
all the time.
Well, the thing is,
Okay.
I'm scared to call God.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, and we'll come back 20 minutes later.
This could be on the internet, isn't it? I forgot about that.
He's got a university, an online university.
Yeah. Oh, there's,
I don't know what he's
there's
gonna-
so many memes, but I'm not going to.
Can you imagine how long? Can you imagine how long his lectures are going to be? I've got a question. Oh, please don't ask
Just
him a
starts
question.
crying.
All right.
Yeah. Is God real? Well, I don't know.
Give him tissues.
Okay,
Just offer him
just
tissues.
say he's real, it's
anyway,
fine.
don't pick on Jordan.
Anyways.
Don't pick on Jordan Peterson.
There's a lot to say about him, but I think
What do you-
someone
do
like
you
that
like
from
him?
a
Do you like him?
at a certain point, yeah. I think
Right.
he
That means he does.
he's a
so
good-
what do you like about him?
he's a good thinker, but then because I'm a Christian, I read the Bible, I see that as truth. So sometimes he does waver off and get a bit scientific with it in a way that's kind of like just twisting himself and kind of running after his own tail. But I think he does.
But also he doesn't even. It's not like he's professing the Bible all the time, and it's not even like he's living it. Because you ask him questions and he goes all the way around the houses and then he comes back to when he's kind of, well, I don't know. It's kind of, that's a hard question. That was a very easy question.
You sure that was Jordan Peterson?
That was a cowboy man.
Right.
Well, I don't
Turn
know.
his microphone off. Oh, what do you know, kid? Well, maybe he's
He's
from
from
that era.
Canada, you know. But
Just put a cowboy hat on, put him on a horse and send him on his way.
that was close.
Right.
I think with Jordan Peterson it's not even that I agree with everything he says, or I'm like, oh wow, this guy's a great thinker. There's sometimes where I'm like, he said that well, but he says what needs to be said, and even if he goes around the houses with it, a lot of men just want it to be heard, you know, that what they're going through, or at least someone just say it. You know, men are struggling because it's when it's quiet and men just feel like they're all on their own that we talk about, you know, these horrible stats that come up because men think they're on their own. Even though they know they're not, but when it comes down to it, if people aren't speaking out.
Do you think the media try and alienate men, push men down?
I think there's a pushback now. I think maybe over the last decade or two, there's been sort of a silencing of men in a way that they're not able to speak out and be brash at times. You know, men should be able to speak out, and if they get it wrong, they'll rein it back
definitely.
in. But you need guys to be able to just get those things in your mind out there, because I feel like men are like a pressure valve, and if you don't release it, it's just you're gonna explode.
But
at some point.
we're also living in a time where you're really strongly discouraged to express your opinion. Right? I know there's loads of keyboard warriors online, keyboard warriors, right? But you're dissuaded strongly by the influence even of the law to not even express your opinion on things, and that's
If people disagree with you,
and then we sort of polarize in our conversation, and this is one of the problems because people, it's healthy to express yourself.
Of course.
It's healthy to express your opinion, and it's healthy to have debate, and it's also healthy to have difference of opinion. Okay, and but we've got a system, and we've certainly got a law system now that's trying to condition people, especially men, trying to condition us to just fit in the box. And most men don't want to fit in a box.
That's true.
Right? Okay. So, and they're trying to get us to fit in a box, and the young lads are going, I don't want to be like that. I want to
You wanna make something of
and
yourself,
come in, obviously, you know, I'm a Christian, so, and come back, because, and I've said it before, now, you know, God's made every single one of us different,
Yeah, true.
but to make a difference.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to put us in a box, but we're all different, and we all don't belong in the same box. And yet, yes, we've got to learn to get along and get on with each other and respect each other. All them things can be there, but you still can disagree. But the society is trying to condition us, and it certainly comes from the European Union. I've noticed over the last 20, 30 years, a lot of the laws that are being passed down and pushed onto the British is being to condition us and not to have an opinion. And they're pushing their agenda on us, especially the gender agenda. Didn't mean to say that, but that went, didn't it? The gender agenda, which is basically gender dysphoria and bringing confusion, all that sort of stuff, when in actual fact the Bible says God created them male and female. And this is where men can get their identity. God made a male male, and he made a female female, obviously. But we're all a work in progress. You know, and one of the things I find is with especially young lads is it's like you should be like this by the time you're 21. It's like if something happens by the time you're 21, you become a man. No, you don't.
Yeah.
We're all still grown.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And you boys don't automatically become men.
That's so true.
It's not automatic. It's like, all right, so I'm 18 or I'm 21 now and I've become a man. Now you're just a boy in a man's body. And we see a lot of boys running around in men's bodies. Because you can just tell the way they behave.
Yeah.
Right? And it's actually a process. It's a process of growth where we, you know, it's a development of character, responsibilities, all these things.
Definitely.
But even that, you know, there's this whole condition of society trying to squeeze men into a box and condition men to think in a particular way. And one of my personal views is that the reason for that is because men are adventurous. Men, the primitive man was a hunter, right? But a hunter, he's what that means is, for the man to go out hunting is where men are motivated by reward, right? Yeah. We need a goal that we can achieve that is a challenge. And once we achieve that goal, there's a reward. So the man would go out and he'd go out with these other men. You know, the women wouldn't go with them. So men need to be together. That's why the football thing's so important. Yeah, true. Right? They're just getting together, right? And they've got a purpose and a goal, and they're hoping that something's a goal. They're hoping for a goal anyway. But there needs to be an aim, you know, because if you've got no aim, you're not going to hit anything. Yeah. So they would go out together, that camaraderie. You know, and I'd imagine some of them, you know, I imagine they're probably having a laugh on the way, but I'd imagine some of them are quite grumpy as well, because I know what I'm like when I'm hungry. So they're on the way. They've got these grumpy blokes, hungry, these hungry men. But they'd go out and there was a challenge, and they'd hunt, and they'd get this animal, bring it back, and the reward is the reward. And that's the same today. But, you know, even society, again, it seems to trying to push men down, and what's the point? So they'll try and they'll aim, and there's so many pressures, like for instance, even getting a career. Okay, so you know, I need to stick at school. By the way, the education system isn't set up for men. Right? As soon as you get to 14-year-olds, it's like young boys are kind of like, you don't want to be sitting at a desk, you know, listen to some 25-year-old female English teacher, right? And you're kind of sitting there kind of like, I don't really want to be here. But you do, and you have to learn to discipline yourself. Yeah. But it's set up for girls. It's not set up for men. As soon as you start hitting that 13, 14-year-old age, and I've got another few theories on that and stuff and ideas, but we'll not go there until, you know, we take over the country. Yes. What? Right. Take over the country.
I didn't know that was
it's a democracy. It's a democracy. Not with anyway. So,
like a military coup, ChatGPT.
No, I'm not doing
What was that?
That was Keir Starmer.
You're not on it today, like that's crazy.
We will fix the country.
Needs to. Yeah.
Fix the country.
I'm not gonna do it.
20 billion. Chat with GPT. So, and that was terrible, wasn't it?
That wasn't really very good. Okay, I'm going to stop as well because it's
hopefully,
rubbing off on me.
Well, hopefully he's still being governed by the time this goes out, which is in about a week's time. But and it's taken away that aim and that ability to achieve. Yeah. And there's still loads to go at, right? But it's like being what is it to be a man? Right, where they're getting their identity from, where they're getting their role models from, right? Yeah. One of the things I want to stress, especially for young lads out here, is that, you know, GPT here isn't the same GPT as when I was 21 years old. I'm not the same person, right? It's still me, right? Yeah. But, you know, I'm like 21 plus 21 a little bit more, right? And I'm not the same. There's still the same personality and characteristics, but I'm not the same person I was when I was 21 as I am today. And that's because we ought to grow and we ought to develop, and we're all a work. You're still growing. You're a work in progress. But where'd you get your identity from? You know, who and that's down to who you look up to.
Yeah.
But we've got so many mixed messages, right? And then we've got the odd one that puts his neck above the parapet, and then, well, the fact is actually, if you look at his lifestyle, it's horrific what he's getting up to. And then, but some of them, even when they do stick their head up and want to speak up as men and be masculine, not in a toxic way, but just in a genuine way, be who they are, they tend to get shot down.
Yeah.
And so, and that's one of the reasons why I think that suicide statistic is so horrific, because then we move on to all the challenges that we have in life. And, I can talk about some of the challenges for even middle-aged men. I'm talking about 35 to 50 sort of thing, which is where, especially 40 to 50, where a lot of suicides are. And what I've found is my experience is, even over the last 10, 20 years, you get a lot of breakups.
Yeah.
You get a lot of divorce.
Yeah.
And what happens with that is it's horrific. It has a terrible effect on the children. It has obviously a terrible effect upon the man and the wife, but inevitably the wife keeps the house because she's got the children. So the guy's living in his car, then he's sofa surfing, and then he hasn't got somewhere, and then he's trying to keep his job. He loses his job, and there's this downward spiral, and then they end up on the street, and it's the challenges are great because they say we're only one paycheck away from losing a house. That's kind of the general statistic. It's a bit more than that, but what they're saying is most people haven't got masses of savings. They kind of get, they lose their job and they're struggling to get through the next 3 months. As soon as you're 3 months through it, they're in big trouble and they're starting to get in debt. So there's challenges. There's real money challenges. Right, and there's real money challenges for middle-aged people as well, but also the challenge. What would you say is the number one challenge or the number one worry for lads sort of in their 20s? 18, 20, 25.
Getting a girl, isn't it?
Getting a girl, yes, she is. There she was, just walking down the street. At least she was a female.
So old.
At least she.
I don't even know that song.
He
That's
doesn't even
how
know
old
that
a
one.
movie or something?
Oh, listen.
Oh, is that
See, they don't know they were born.
Grease Lightning?
Huh?
No.
Oh, is it not?
Grease Lightning.
What?
Well, you look silly,
It's
don't you?
before
I
my
wasn't
time.
born. I don't know.
Right? But the good thing is,
Give it a good
the
shot.
good thing is, at least it was a female walking down the street,
Okay.
and he was looking at a female.
Yeah.
Today, you don't know, and you don't even know if it's a female or a male.
I mean,
so
you can
no,
tell by the
so no
stubble.
wonder you're struggling. No wonder you're struggling.
What was the question?
It's like well, the question is, what's the pronoun? No, anyway.
Okay. But,
So so in your
right, yeah.
early
looking for
20s,
girls,
then young men, what they're thinking about, they want to find someone, they want to
yeah.
find a lass.
Yeah. True love.
Yeah, all
Find
that
the
stuff.
princess.
I think
Find the
career
one.
as well.
Career.
Yeah.
See the way
What are you gonna do with your whole
see the way
life?
how Matty jumped off that one and went straight to career.
Yeah.
I don't need a girlfriend right now. No.
Not right now, Matty.
No.
He's got them all left on him anyway. Like his dad, isn't he? So, well, his haircut is anyway. So he just has his haircut. And
It's not the greatest haircut.
well,
Got done
career.
there before a podcast.
So you've got
Brutal.
obviously. So let's get back to the girl thing. Obviously, you want a girlfriend. You want to eventually you want somebody you can trust. I remember I used to do a online mentor for men thing and most of them were teenagers, and I did a survey. I said, what was the number one thing you want out of a relationship? Right, I don't know if you remember the answer, but and these were lads who were 16 to 18, 20. And I asked, what is the number one thing you want out of a relationship? And the answer was loyalty.
It's true.
Loyalty. Lads, even though that, it's portrayed like you can be with this one, go with that one, date this one, date that one. Well, actually, most lads want to find one girl, right? The one, right? And they want her to think that he's the one. Right, and the number one quality, the one out of that, is loyalty, and we see, and like we see today, and I've recently had to deal with it, because we still work with people, and I'm still working with lads, and even on there's about 3 occasions in the last 6 weeks where I've had to deal with lads who have split up from a girl, and they're absolutely brokenhearted, and they don't know how to function.
Yeah.
And they're struggling, and I'm standing with them, and they're in tears, and I'm having to pray with them and talk to them and stuff. 3 in the last 6 weeks.
It's common. Yeah.
Right? And these lads, one of them is 20, the other one's 20, and the other guy was 25. These are all young men. You're at the start of your life as a man, and they're starting broken. And this is one of the issues. So this is one of the worries, and this is one of the challenges, because obviously that's a good desire, but the problem is they're doing it the wrong way. Right? And so they're jumping in, and they're getting involved, and they're getting involved physically, and they're getting involved with things they shouldn't be getting involved with, and all of a sudden it has a snowball effect, and they're building the relationship. They're building it on sand rather than building something solid and showing that respect and that honor, and then developing conversation, because as soon as they start touching, it triggers things, and they're head over heels, and they get attached to each other, and then when it breaks 3, 4, 5 years later, it literally shatters them. And there's so many young men out there who are brokenhearted, and then as they're listening, they know exactly what I'm talking about, because they cannot function properly, and they literally can, and that's where suicides come from, and because they look like there's no way through. They're trying to function, they're trying to get through it, and it's hopeless. There's like the look of the future, and it's just like, this is hopeless, especially when they say with another guy, right? You've got to be careful, who you get involved with, and also you need to do it the right way around. The Bible talks about sexual immorality, that is getting involved in that realm, that's a sin. And what sin does, it certainly does, is it brings a curse, right? And so what you're doing is, instead of being patient and showing respect and honor and developing your relationship through friendship and conversation and all that, you're getting involved in something that should be reserved for marriage, and which is just a part of marriage. And here you are, you get involved in this thing, and you've literally triggered a curse. And you wonder why now it's falling to pieces. And you wonder why. And people come to me and asking us for prayer. And I've had to literally tell them, what you did was sin. And it brings a curse, and this is what's happened. And now but God can, but the thing is, for people like that is, especially young men, is God can help you, and it does take a bit of time, but He can help you, but you need other men.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's where the church comes in. People, I laugh because people, you'll never find me in church. And I just look at them and I think, look at your sad old life. You haven't even got any friends, and you've got one friend, all you do is sit and drink. And then you wake up with a headache. And it's like church, the best place on earth. I'm not talking about sitting in wooden pews, then boring. I mean, I understand some churches. All right, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a church where the presence of God is, the Spirit of God is, and people actually do care for and love each other.
That's true. It's massive.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, but finding a woman is an issue, but finding a good one. But the other side of that is, if you want a good one and a loyal one, well, are you going to be good and loyal?
Exactly.
Right? Because a good loyal one is going to be looking for. She's not looking for a toe rag, is she?
No.
Right then. Anyway,
a toe rag,
not
guys.
looking for a toe rag. Show me age again.
T-shirt.
And so Matty was talking about career. So, let me read a few things. So, middle-aged men, right? As you look at the statistics, 5 biggest challenges for middle-aged men. Okay, and it's in order. 1 is career. That's the biggest worry, even middle-aged men, right? Because it's not like back in the day where you would get a job for life, right? You get a job now, and you might be in a job a year. You might be in a job 2 years, 3 years. If you're in a job 10 years, you've done really well, right? So the number one worry for middle-aged men is career, probably because they may be married or got a partner and they've got kids, right? So it's a massive problem because there isn't any job security. Okay, the only job security you've got is if you work hard and do well and earn them profit. There's your security, right? But even that doesn't guarantee it, right? Career. The second one is money worries. The third one is health, right? You sort of get on middle age, and when you're young, you think you're going to live forever, and you're super fit, and you've got abs and everything else, and then when you get to middle age, you've got abs on top of abs, and a little bit more cushioning.
The abs are higher.
And so,
For now.
but health. So especially 40, 50 years old. It was funny. I got a thing through the door when I turned 40 off the NHS. And it was basically, Mr. Taylor, we've never seen you in years, because I never got the doctor. We've never seen you in years. You must attend this checkout thing, and they were telling us what they were going to do on us. 40 years old, and it was like, I don't think
Gonna get you up on the ramps,
I don't think so. Get us up on the ramps, get the torches on, get the torches
check the
on.
revs.
It was like, where's the ignition? Bit rust under the arches, yeah,
Change
Mr.
the
Taylor. That's not rust. I just need a bit of tissue.
All right.
No, you went there. You went there.
I did that.
Just keep it
Anyway,
high level.
the point I was making was that one of the concerns
That's staying in.
is health. Okay, but when you start, I'm telling you, you might be when you're young and you think, but you start hitting, you start hitting 40s, 45s, 50s, and start getting towards 55. And you don't recover the way you used to. You can play 5-a-side and you get a knock, and it takes you 3 months rather than 3 hours to get better. So it was health. The other one was relationships, and one of the top 5 issues for middle-aged men was isolation. Isolated,
that's true.
right? And this is one of the big issues. But I don't think this is limited to 40, 50-year-old men. I think this is more of a issue for 20-odd-year-old men, right? Where, yes, they might go out and do that, but it's the isolation thing, spending more time on their own than with other people, right? And that's very easy. And what happens with that is then you become disconnected. And then who's your role model? Who's your example? Then it's all online, and you haven't got a relationship with them. They haven't got a clue who you are. You might send them a comment, but they're not replying. And these are the role models out there, and this is another struggle, isn't it? Especially for the young lads, and but men are risk takers, and men are adventurers because there is rewards to that. We know there's a risk, but we know the potential for reward. But society's trying to put us in a box. Just stick in the status quo. Stay in the box. Don't put your head out, and it comes against you. But we need more men to be men.
Yeah.
Right, we need men to be brave. We need men to stick their neck up and, hey, listen, this is what I believe, right? Well, that's fine, and we need men who'll take on board the challenges. But we also can't do it by ourselves.
No, definitely not.
And this is one of the problems with men is that we try and do everything. I've done it, We think because men are fixers, right? In our minds, we try and fix things, and we think we can do it ourselves. Whereas there's going to come a point in your life where, especially men, where you're going to need other men. You're going to need people who've been ahead of you, somebody who's been there, maybe done it, somebody who's got experience. And this is a biblical principle, right? Yeah. And we've seen, we've seen today, it's good for men to talk, and we've got men's centres and online stuff and all that. But you need to be meeting with men who've been there and done it. Yeah, not just meeting with a bunch of men who've got the same problems.
Yeah, true.
I mean, what's the point in that? I mean, you're going to talk about it, but you got no answers, right? I'm not saying don't do it, but that's not the answer. It's meeting with men who've been through it, who've lived it, who've gone before you and come out the other end. And this is a principle in the Bible. It's called discipleship. And Jesus actually says this, doesn't he? And he says it too. He says it to a bunch of men.
Yeah.
And he says, and Jesus says, go and make disciples of all the nations, of everyone, anybody whoever responds to this great message of salvation, and putting the Bible aside, he's saying, go and teach these men, go and help them, go and teach them.
Relationship.
But a disciple is somebody who then goes voluntarily says, yes, I want you to show me, right? The problem is pride,
True.
and ego, and men don't like to ask for help. We just don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
It's like, do you need a help? No, I'm fine. And you're struggling. Right? You could be carrying like a steel beam and you're wobbling all. I'm working on the building site, carrying the steel beam, you're wobbling. And somebody, do you need a hand? No, I'm fine. Right? We don't like to ask for help. We want to do it all ourselves. And this comes into our daily routine in our daily lives, And one of the things is we were made for rewards. Right? Men are meant to achieve. They're meant to go on risk. They're meant to adventure, right? And we were made for rewards, right? And one of the things, another thing in the Bible, it says this, right? And that's why, if I can get anything into this, I'll get this in. And you know this, right? The Bible says that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. That's found in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, which is a faith chapter, right? But it says that God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Okay, and but this can be applied to life. Okay, so even those who don't believe in God, if you're listening or watching, listen to this, right? There are rewards in life, but you have to take risks. And but maybe talk to somebody, one of your mates, about it and ask him what he thinks as well, rather than just I'm thinking about doing this. It's like, I'm thinking about selling my house, and I'm just going to travel the world. And what okay, and how are you going to right? And what about your income when you come back? And okay, then daft idea. So, but there's risk, there's adventure, but there are all rewards. But the Bible says, here's one of the things: is those who seek God, men. I'm talking to like real men who want to listen and who want to learn truth, right? Men were made to have a relationship with God. You wonder why you're struggling. You wonder why you're lonely. You wonder why you're in anguish. Or you wonder why you're desperate, right? Young men, my age, right? I was going to say middle-aged men, right? You wonder why you're struggling the way you're struggling. You weren't meant to do life without God. And that's why Jesus Christ came. This is God come to redeem us and bring us back to Him. And I thank God that I've been through highs, I've been through lows, I've been through fantastic times, I've been through really dark times, and just knowing that God's there and being able to pray and call upon Him. The Bible says we're not meant to do life without God. That's why men are having the crisis that they're having, and that's why they've got this identity crisis. They don't even know how to dress. Some of them are dressing like, it's like, what are you doing?
Sunderland top.
It's like, it's right. And it's not like it's not like you have to wear a certain dress code, but at least dress like you look like a bloke, right? It's kind of like, anyway. And, but all the, so we've got this, you're not meant to do life without God.
Yeah.
Right. And God is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And diligence is doing what you know to do when no one's looking. That's what diligence is. Yeah. It's easy to be diligent when the boss is watching.
Oh, yeah. You need more men like
as soon as the boss is gone, I know what it's like at work, in the workplace. People are just like, yeah. Do you want a coffee? That's it, he's gone. Get in, he's gone. They've been waiting for the last hour for him to leave, right? Diligence, and it's the diligent who get promoted, by the way. Diligence is doing what you know to do when no one's looking.
Yeah.
And this is the same with God. Those who diligently seek Him, not just want to make it look like they're, I want to do right and I want to be the real man and I believe in God and I believe you but what is it like when nobody's looking?
Yeah.
And those who diligently seek Him when nobody's looking. The Bible says He rewards us, and so we've got this whole aspect of God. God is built into the fabric, the structure of society that we can be rewarded.
Yep.
Has there ever been a time where you've looked at a challenge and thought, this is going to be tough?
Yeah. I think it was probably my third year of uni, like most people.
Third year
it was
of
like, didn't sign up for this, but...
It was easy, wasn't
it? Second and third year was fun. But
he did study a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah. Third year was pretty rough. I still enjoyed it, but it was like, I studied at uni, and then just like, there was moments where I was like, this is really tough. This is like... Did
you ever get to a point where you thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like those moments as a man where you're like, this is beyond me now. And I'm really going to have to step up and just... It's risky because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
Excuse me.
But I mean, I personally, again, being a Christian, I prayed to God and said, you know what, God, and because a lot of people think God's just this guy in the sky and like He can never really reach down and help you where you're at. But I know God works in the practical, which is what men need. The practical. I need you to help me, God, in this. And I was the same. I was like, God, you got to help me. Like, help me to be better. Help me to be, have more wisdom, to have more knowledge, to work well. Like, help me to understand and use this time.
So how did God help you?
He just, it's funny. You pray and then there's just a peace. And I was just able to focus. And when I needed to, knowing what to do in that next step. Some guys, they don't even know what to do in the next step. I just had that. And He kind of just led me step by step through that. And now I can look back and say, I did well and I really learned a lot.
And then you did well. So there's a reward. The reward is getting your result, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how did you feel after that?
I felt great.
There you
Thank
go.
God.
But you had to put the work in.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
had to put the work in. But you're like,
God helped me
like
in
I'm
that,
saying,
yeah.
listen, lads, if you listen, men, if you listen, you're not meant to do life without God.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah, it's true.
Geordie version of the Bible, right?
There's enough hurt men out
What
there.
are you doing? You're not meant
Yeah.
to do life without God. He's there for you if you'll call upon him.
That's true.
All you've got to do is take a step of faith towards him, right? And I've experienced that many times. Yourself, Matty, has ever been because I want to pick up on that point there, though. It was beyond this, right?
Yeah.
Men, you will always get to a point that if you're living life to the full,
It's true.
right? And if you're aspiring to be better, you will always get to the point where you're going to get this point where, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's a very real, tangible feeling like, this is beyond me. So what do you do then? And it's at that point where, listen, and I remember we talked about it, this is where your growth comes,
Yeah, it's true.
right? But this is also where you just need one or two lads around you to go, come on, man, you've got this.
Made a big difference.
You can do this as well, right? And even just having one or two lads around. But it's that point, that's the point of growth. This is where the boy starts to become a man.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have even greater challenges further ahead in the future, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're going to have further. I'm assure you are. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're going to get married. You're going to have kids, and then what if you do lose your job? And so you're going to come to the point at some point in your life where I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do this. And especially if you're broken, like, thank God you're doing the right thing and you're not. But if you're broken and you're hardly functioning, and then you face, and so it all
That
has a
breaks down, yeah.
compound effect, right?
It's true.
You're not meant to do life without God,
Yeah.
right? You're not meant to do life, broken. You're not meant to do life not functioning. You're not meant to do life lonely and by yourself. You're not meant to do all these things just independently of God. You were created. The Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, that God made men in his image.
Yeah.
He made men in his image. What does that mean? You're in his likeness. You were meant to do life with him, not without him. And the problem is men who trying to do, venture into life as young men, middle-aged men who are, maybe it's fallen to pieces. I want to tell you, you're not meant to do life without God. Yeah. And I know that God can help you as well.
Yeah.
Matty, challenges? You ever had a challenge
Yeah.
where you've thought, oh man, I cannot do this?
In sixth form, I started a Christian discussion group, but it was basically just me preaching, like at lunchtime. But for me, like when I was younger, I used to hate public speaking. Like I used to just shake. Oh man, I was so scared. If I could, I'd be the last person to go up and do a speech. I hated it. But
he's just shy like his dad.
yeah,
That's
we're definitely not the same. But yeah, God spoke to me and said, "You need to start this." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that, man." But then he didn't let me sleep, so I said, "Okay." And then,
He has his ways of getting to you.
I started up and things like that.
Knows how you tick.
But I really struggled. Like before I started, I was like, "Oh man, I can't do this. Like this is not my thing. I can't preach. I've never preached in my life, and I don't even know how to prepare for it or anything." But I decided I'm going to do it, and I know God will help us because He's told me to do it. He wants to do something with it. And when I started it, after I finally did it, I was fine. Like the first session, I was like, wait, that was kind of easy actually. I mean, I had to put in a lot of work beforehand, like studying and writing the sermon and things like that. But like it actually went really well, like the speaking part of it, which I thought I'd really struggle with.
And how did that was on a lunchtime, wasn't it?
Yeah,
At school,
lunchtime.
sixth
Yeah.
form. And how did the lads respond? How many lads would you get out sometimes?
I think the most we had in 1 week was like 20, which is pretty crazy
Which is
in the
pretty
sixth form.
What you want to? Right, I'm going to talk about God. Come out on your lunchtime, and 20 of them show up. That's pretty good.
Well, I had a few crisps and biscuits. So.
Now
That's how you do it.
That's how you get guys along.
There's the reward.
Biscuits.
You get the blokes out. There's a reward.
Yeah,
Nice.
But yeah, I did that, and actually, because I used to challenge people to get saved. I think about 15 lads who got saved through it, and that's God has shown. If you just do what I say, I'll come through and help you.
And what was the reward in that then?
I think for me, I grew a lot, especially in relationship with God, because I had to do a lot more reading. When you're gonna preach, you're like, I need to find a message.
Gotta know your stuff, yeah.
So you're being forced to grow, aren't you?
Yeah,
It's like I can't do this, and
definitely.
every one of us will be faced with that. You know, as we kind of wrap up, you're going to be faced with these challenges that seem unsurmountable, almost impossible. But listen, you need to get one or two lads around you. You know, a few little bits of advice from me would be: you've got to grab the challenges by the horns, right? There's challenges that'll come, and you've got to grab a hold of the challenges. Don't shy away from them. And even if you've got one or two lads around you to look at you, talk about it with them and get them to encourage you. But you've got to you've got to do it. Nobody else can do it for you. And you've got to try to work at these challenges, because there are rewards at the other end. The other thing is, a bit of advice I would give for men is, and we're going to talk about masculinity more next time, all right, and what it is to be a man in masculinity. But on this one here, I would say you've got to learn to work through relationship problems. And because we are all going to fall out with someone, or somebody's going to fall out with you. You know, not everybody loves you, right? Not everybody even likes you, right? And but you're gonna have relationship problems, and you've got to learn to work through the relationship problems. You know, some of the old grumpy old so and so's are like, stuff them and get off and and it's like, well, actually, there's a time to do that. You know, if somebody's just a nutcase and they're toxic, right? It's like, okay, bye, right? But there's other times you'll have disagreements and you'll have falling outs. And these are part of your, these are relationships that you have, and you need to try and resolve them, and you've got to learn to try and work through them. And the last bit of advice I would give is you need to be mentored. And we come back to the Bible. It's a modern word, a mentor, right? A mentor is somebody simply who's got more experience than you and can advise you, right? That's called discipleship in the Bible. Okay, and so you do need a mentor. And somebody who's more experienced, who you can trust as an advisor, but that means you're going to have to open up, right? You can't be mentored until you open up, and you've got to be honest with them and say, look, this is where I'm at, and that's the same, pastor in a church. You can, we talk about discipleship and stuff, and you're trying to help people, but I can't help anybody who doesn't open up.
Yeah. Okay.
And all I do is I wait for them to open up. And then I know the journey starts, and you need it, but you do need a mentor. And unfortunately, yes, some people haven't had dads, or even if they have had a dad, he's just been silent, or he doesn't even know what to do because his dad didn't know what to do. There's a knock-on effect, but it could be a really good a dad who's been there, done that, and he's come through the other end, or if not your dad, a father figure, and if not, you get yourself to a church where they've got men who are living for God and overcomers.
It's true.
Who've had the same problems, same challenges, but God's helped them. Because, listen, if I can say anything, men, you're not meant to do life without God, right? You were designed to do life with God. And when you accept that and you come and humble yourself and swallow your ego and you take that step of faith and say, all right, Jesus, forgive me, come into my heart, be my Lord and Savior, then the power of God's available. Then help from heaven, real help, like Isaac was talking about, Matty, where God comes in and he actually begins to strengthen you and help you, because there is hope, and there's hope in the future. We're going to be talking next week about masculinity. What is real masculinity? And it's going to be exciting, but it's going to be challenging as well. So again, it's not for girls. Girls, don't tune in, just for the men.
I know you will, though.
See you next week on Chat with GPT.